Hey folks, welcome back to Max Nave Horsemanship. And today I'm going to do a video that's a little bit different because rather than giving you advice on keeping and training and stuff like that, I'm going to talk about having horses as a pet. And well, that subject actually is because of YouTube, believe it or not, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that for a second. Well, recently I did a video, actually it was kind of a redo of a very old video I did of how to pet a horse. And I had mentioned that the early video that I did, very poor quality, actually had somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 views. I haven't checked recently, somewhere around there, 40,000 some odd, whatever. And I didn't really give much thought. All at the time, I couldn't understand its popularity, and I tried figuring out what was the trick that made it so popular. And tried using keywords in the titles because the YouTube computers pick up on that stuff, and they decide which ones they're going to promote. Anyhow, the new video that I did, or newer, I've actually had another one since then, it was entitled How to Pet a Horse as well, how to approach and pet a horse. And it was interesting because within the first few hours of it being uploaded, it had more views than most of my videos get in their lifetime, which seemed a little odd. Why was it all of a sudden I was getting so many views? Now, going into your analytics, you can actually find out where it's coming from and how this all works. And on my other one, I knew it was YouTube promoting it as a recommended video. So I knew how that happened on that first one, but on this one I didn't know yet. I hadn't gone into the analytics and looked. Somebody left a message saying, oh, well, YouTube kept pushing it on me, so I finally watched it. They also made a comment that was probably true and kind of sad, that YouTube figures it's more important on how you pet a horse than how you train a horse. Yeah, probably. And that is kind of, well, that's the day and age we live in. That's the kind of people that are out there. They're more interested in petting horses than training them because it's a lot less work, so they think. So I started thinking about, okay, the two videos that both had sudden popularity had the keyword pet in them. So today we're going to do another video with that word in the title, and it's having a horse as a pet. And well, we'll see what happens with this one. It's a bit of an experiment, but it is a legit video anyhow. It's a topic that I think we need to talk about a little bit because, a lot of people think that when you have a horse, it needs to be ridden. A lot of people do that, and I've heard it many times. It's like, well, one of the comments is usually, well, if you don't ride the horse, why do you have it? Well, if it was me, I'd just have it put down, things like that. Well, there's a lot more to horses than riding. I've said that before. I discovered that many years ago, that horses can be pretty interesting animals and very much pleasurable to be around. And well, that's one of the reasons I got this one here, because this horse here is, well, although she is rideable, I can ride her, she's a pet. I don't actually ride her. Well, she is rideable, but I don't ride her. I'm a little bit big for her, even though she looks pretty small. She's actually fairly stout. She's over 850 pounds. She's a very stout little horse, just happens to have very short legs. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons we don't ride. Another reason is the fact that, well, she's getting up there in years, which might not really matter because we don't know how much more she's got to go. She seems to be pretty darn healthy. And she's, well, we don't know the exact age of this horse, but she's at least 25. That much we're fairly sure of. Exact age we're not sure. She could be 28, I don't know. But, now, the other problem is because of her shape, it's very difficult to fit a saddle to her. I did finally find a saddle that actually would fit her back fairly well, but when you do up the cinch, because of the shape of her chest, the cinch wants to go forward and up into her armpit, which that alone can't be comfortable. Plus it wants to pull the saddle forward. And so we just basically, well, it doesn't matter. There's nice roads out there, and I got a car with a heater and windshield wipers and all that stuff. If I want to go somewhere, I'll just drive that. I don't have to ride. You see where I'm going with this? It's not a necessity, but this horse is, in a way. And, well, I'll give you a little bit of history. She was given to me many years ago, and she had a ton of problems. And I owe to this horse a lot. She kind of made me the horseman I am today because of her uniqueness and the severity and uniqueness of her problems that we had to work through. Now, originally, she was just going to be a project that I was going to fix and sell. But, well, since then, I don't think, by the time we actually had things worked out and started riding her, we'd kind of gotten attached to her. And she is a real sweetheart. She's a very, very gentle horse, although a very scared and worried horse because of her past. I was always concerned about selling her because I thought the next person might not understand this horse. And because of the trauma in her past, if you don't treat her properly, you could trigger that again and get her back into that same state that she was in when I got her. And I don't want that to happen. And it almost sounds like something a hoarder would say, but I don't think anybody's going to love this little horse like I do. Yeah, I know, bad words. But fact of the matter is, I owe this horse a lot. She don't owe me for her keep. I owe her for what she's taught me. Because, like I said, because of her uniqueness and severity, I really learned a lot with this little horse. And I kind of told her right from day one, I was going to keep her. I was going to look after her and take care of her. And no matter how old she got and what happened, we were going to make sure she got taken care of. And that's what we've done. We've kept our word, and we've looked after this little horse. Well, I want to explain a little bit about this, too, because I've said before, horses aren't just about riding. Even though a lot of people these days really think that that's the only reason to have a horse. If you can't ride it, there's no point in having a horse. No, there's lots of points. Horses can be extremely therapeutic. And, well, I'll go back to something that was said by a gentleman by the name of Sir Winston Churchill. For those of you that don't know who he is, he was Prime Minister, got to use the right term. Prime Minister of England, was a brilliant military strategist during the Second World War. And, well, he also happened to be extremely fond of horses. Now, a little more to the story than that, but he was both intelligent and well-educated. And one of the sayings that he said, that he has been quoted many times, he actually said quite a few things when it came to horses, but one of them, which occasionally is misquoted as somebody else is saying, but not, it was Sir Winston Churchill said this: there's something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man. And that's dead accurate. I also have found over the years that it was very interesting that he used that particular choice of words because, well, like I said, he was both an intelligent man and a well-educated man. And yet the best word he could come up with was something. No, that was the word, something. Something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man. Well, that's true. There is definitely something about horses. And that's where keeping a horse as a pet is a 100% legitimate thing to do. Because, well, it's kind of a joke that goes around about how keeping a horse is cheaper than paying for a therapist. Well, that's true. And horses are the original aromatherapy, too. Ah, yeah, she smells good. Well, she does, honest. Well, not everybody appreciates the smell of a horse, but they all smell very unique. Each one smells a little bit different, and they all smell quite nice once you get that scent into your nostrils. But I've discovered something that, as much as riding makes me feel good, just being with them can make me feel good. And this horse is a really good example of that, because even to this day, out of all my horses, just being with this one really makes me feel good. In fact, maybe more so than the rest of them. And I don't know what it is about her. Never really figured it out, but this little horsey here, well, just being with her, it's worth having her because of the way that she makes me feel. So go back to, is it okay to have a horse as a pet? Well, why not? I don't see any reason. I mean, for some people, you know, they enter their particular disciplines and competitions, and well, they feel good when they win a buckle or a ribbon or a trophy or whatever the heck it is they win. For some of us, what makes us really feel good is just being with the horse. And certain horses really do have a way of doing that. That, well, not unlike this one, even though she is in some ways a useless horse because she's too old, too small, poor conformation to make a saddle fit well on her. I mean, she's got all these things going against her. I don't care. I'm going to keep her. And she's staying with me to the day she dies. And why? Why am I keeping this horse as a pet? Because it makes me feel good. It does. It makes me feel very good. So, you know, if somebody tells you that you got to ride your horse, you say, that's nice. You want to ride your horse, you go ride your horse. I don't have to ride my horse. There's no rules. There's no rules in the book. And going back to an incident that took place many years ago that kind of taught me this stuff is, well, I spent quite a few hours with my horses one day. I had this little routine where I'd go for a ride each day. And this one particular day, I don't know what happened, but I ended up spending, I don't know, 3 hours. I had 4 rideable horses. All of them were rideable. Nobody was lame or anything at the time. All rideable. And I went and spent about 3 hours with them. And there were no yard lights at the place, so when it got dark, I went home. And when I got home, I realized I hadn't gone for a ride. And yet I felt just as good as I normally would if I'd gone for a ride. And that was when I realized you don't have to ride a horse to feel good. So if you want to keep a horse as a pet, which there's actually a few people here that do that. There's one lady here that she actually has 2 horses here, neither are rideable. She has ridden them both, can ride and all that stuff, but because of the, well, I think they're somewhat minor issues, but riding is not that important to her. She enjoys just spending time with them. So that's what she does. And, you know, she's kind of grateful that nobody's giving her flack around here for doing that. And I'm like, hey, you don't want to ride your horse? You don't ride your horse. I don't care. You enjoy being with your horse? That's great. You be with your horse. You know, treat it like you would if you were riding it. Care for it, look after it, meet its needs, do all that good stuff. And you want to keep a horse as a pet because it makes you feel good, go ahead and do it. Horses are really wonderful pets. In spite of the fact that what some people think, they're only good for riding. Nope, they make great pets too. And sometimes the cost of keeping them and looking after them, that's well worth it. Makes you feel good, do it. Have a good day.